Good morning. Been over a long time ago, but it's a, it was me and my two siblings. We got adopted by a religious family, and they chopped our hair and changed our names. And at first, things went pretty well, but then they were a little bit sick in the head, so we ended up going through a very large amount of physical abuse, mental abuse, and eventually sexual abuse, to the point where I've been diagnosed with complex PTSD from it, where I have flashbacks and things on occasion, even though I've been working through it for years, which is great. Um, so then, when we were growing up, we kind of had to fend for ourselves because my mother was sick, the one that adopted me, and she locked herself in a room for about 7 years. So she didn't really have much to do with us. I learned how to cook when I was 5 years old. We were also basically the maids of the house. Hello, hope all is well. Um, so I learned how to cook and we cleaned, and every day before school I'd pack myself a bag of apples and go to school and try to trade the apples for food. Um, so everyone called me Apple Girl. I later got accused of being a witch for it, which was a lot of fun for them, I guess. So then I kept growing up, all that. My mother also was incredibly paranoid, so she wouldn't let us leave the house. We had to come right home after school. We'd walk about a mile every day, and I'd walk with my cello on a couple days a week to get home, and that way I could still learn music. She was also used to be a vocal teacher when I was old enough to learn, but I used to sit outside her door while she was teaching lessons before she got sick, and I used to learn by listening to her. So I spent most of my childhood, though, either getting made fun of at school or coming home and getting beaten or sitting on stairs because that was their choice of punishment for us. And just sit there for hours, sometimes days at a time, especially in the summer. I had a lot of time to think, and I was able to build a gigantic imagination, luckily. And then I got older. I started learning the piano, kept playing my cello, and I got a lot of peace and solace from it. Except for the songs I wrote back then were much darker than the ones I've written now. Um, Hello, Austin is asleep right now, but he'll be on later, I'm sure. So with those songs, it was an album that was incredibly dark, and I'm still debating on sharing it. It did help me through the emotional things I was going through. I hear you. It's good to relate to people. I hear you. Um, so yeah, then I failed elementary school because I was good morning. So I was busy cooking and cleaning for my family. I ended up taking on the role, pretty much raising my siblings with my older sister who wasn't adopted, but she helped me out a lot. So that was good. And then I really found a lot of solace in my music, so I was happy about that. Then when I was 19, I got married. And kind of both of us were a little young, and both of our parents kind of pushed it. Then a couple years later, and this is really just a quick run through of the story, not detailed. A couple years later, we used to help people out by letting them move into our house, and we had an extra room, so we used to help homeless people and let them get on their feet a little bit. And one day he brought a nice lady home, and I helped her move in. Thank you, I appreciate it. takes a lot of guts and courage to be on here, actually. Um, but then my husband ended up wanting to date her, and they asked me to move out of my house. So I did, because when someone wants you gone that bad, then I mean, what can you do, really? So I left, and I started playing my music on stage in the town I was in. I started getting a little bit of a following and getting things going, and then I met somebody who told me they were going to record my music. Um, Also, I forgot to mention, when I was 19, I started having epileptic seizures. And I tried to be a vegan at one point too, and it made it far worse. And I did almost die. I had, um, I'm not sure how he takes it every day either. I'm not that strong, and he's one of the kindest people I know. Um, and you know what? That's fine. Austin saved my life, so and it's not that I owe him anything, but I kind of lost faith in people being as kind-hearted as he is. Um, and I'm not really looking for anyone's respect at this point, to be honest. I have lived most of my life alone, standing up for myself every day and keeping on, keeping on. But thank you for the thought. Um, anyway, so I ended up, having to move out of that house with my husband, and well, he kicked me out, so I was on my own again, working hard, and I had someone who said they were going to produce my music, but I had a very violent seizure, and my memory was pretty distorted, and next thing you know, he said, the other guy I was with said, "Thank you, I appreciate that." He said we were dating, which I didn't know, because, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Jennifer. Um, but yeah, he was about 20 years older than me, and he just said we were dating, and my memory was so messed up after the seizure that I just decided to, I guess, date him, because it was, I'm very passive, so I ended up being basically locked in a house for 5 years, while he never produced my music and started just ignoring me, and I finally got out of there, moved into my own place, and started working really hard and getting things together again, working a couple jobs, which I lost because of the epilepsy. I had a seizure at work, and I was out for a month, and I got fired for it. Thank you. They're Husky Zolos. They're really sweet and good to me. They help a lot. I've always had a service animal. That's another thing I lost recently, was my little dog Peanut. Um, anyway, so I ended up on my birthday, a couple days before I met Austin. I was arguing with my landlord and quit paying rent because my roof was leaking, and I was freezing. You could see outside through the front and back doors. And even though I had the heat going all day, everything was just going outside. So finally, I decided to quit paying rent, and I wrote him a lot of notices telling him I wasn't going to pay until he made repairs. And he ended up illegally evicting me on my birthday. I had 10 minutes to leave. And I was so scared too, because I'd had a seizure a couple days before that. And I'm not much of one to fight after the abuse I've been through. So I just let him kick me out. I took what I could carry, and I left. I went out to the bars, tried to find somebody that could help me, and got drunk because I was so depressed. And I ended up, one of my friends ended up taking me over to his house with a group of people. So I thought I was safe, even though I was in fight or flight for about 4 days, trying to figure out what to do because everything had just been taken away. And then Austin, I was starving to death. I was incredibly thin, and I was ready to just go out under a bush and he fed me a burrito, which made my fucking day, made my life, honestly. Told me to keep going, told me to stay alive and that I'm worth living. Um, At that point I didn't have a man. This is before that happened. And I tried to do some repairs there, but the roof was leaking too. And with my health, I at that point could barely get out of off the couch. And also, I'd had a really traumatizing experience on Christmas, where I was kidnapped and I was raped. And that's like probably I don't usually say that out loud. That's why this live stream is going to be live, and then I'm putting it on private after this. But after that happened, I didn't even want to come outside of my house. I couldn't even go out on the front porch. I was deathly afraid of everybody, um, and so I didn't really know who to look out for help. Um, but like I said, after I got kicked out on my birthday and had 10 minutes to grab my stuff, um, and it was the landlord's problem. That's why I wrote him a letter. And instead of fixing the repairs, he illegally evicted me and made me take everything. Thank you, Jennifer. I do. I was starving to death, like I said. Um, and yeah, Austin saved my life. Fed me. He told me I was worth it and to keep going. He started getting me stronger again so I could think again. And he even started recording my. I know people have programs, but when you're agoraphobic and you don't have a phone or the internet or any way to reach out, it, it can be hard to become a part of those programs. It can be really hard, especially also part of the reason I wasn't able to fill out my disability forms is because um, when I have those seizures and stuff, I forget. I forget if I have interviews. I forget what kind of paperwork I have to do, and half the time I'm so shaky I can't even write things down. Um, but anyway, when I finally got the police are part of who helped evict me because my landlord had paid off people in that town, so that was really hard to trust. Um, and yes, the local hospitals could help, but how was I supposed to call anybody? I had no phone, no internet, and I was in the middle of nowhere. And I'm sorry, Jennifer. We're gonna try and get you something as soon as possible. I don't know how to work PayPal, and Austin does. And as soon as he wakes up, we're gonna try that again. It didn't work yesterday, but we're gonna try again because I know how that is. Um, anyway, so Austin actually was the first person to. I'd been promised that my music was going to be recorded a lot, and I have a hard time using the internet, and he taught me how. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be here now. Um, but I'm here now, and he's the first person, even though the recordings are rough, he still took the time to sit down and record them for me and help me with that. So that means the world to me, honestly. And then he was able, with all of your help, to help get me out here to my family's land, which my biological mother passed away a couple years ago during COVID, as well as my grandmother, and a year before that, my little brother, um, and my dog. So I was having a really hard time. And he got me out here to where I'm safe, where I won't be kicked off my land again or out of my house, and I won't lose all my things again, because at this point I've had to move 3 times with nothing, and had to start over and over again, and I was losing faith in everything, in everyone and everything, and including myself. I was ready to give up, and like I said, Austin's part of the reason why I even exist right now, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. And honestly, I've always had a dog because my dog Peanut used to go in the stores with me. She was my service animal, um, and she used to help make sure that the people would leave me alone and that I could actually walk in the store without being afraid, because I have really bad social anxiety and actually slight agoraphobia. I can't believe I'm even doing this online, honestly. Um, but I'm here and I'm strong and I'm going to keep trying. And thank you. I really appreciate that comment, the Watchman. And he does have my back. he's helped everybody we've come in contact with. He's a very kind heart and a very kind soul, and he's had a hard life too. I'm glad my story is encouraging. That's why I'm sharing it. I'm not looking for pity or anything. And it's honestly really scary to share it. But I'm here, and here you go. And I mean, I guess it does help when I can hide a little bit behind the internet, because there's no way I could do this in a store or something. What's weird is I can play on stage. I used to do shows on stage, and I can play in front of an audience if I'm on a stage, but I can't sit and carry conversation one on one with with people I don't know. In the store, I kind of avoid everyone. I have pathways through it so that I don't have to run into anybody. Um, but I had been suppressed most of my life, told what to say, told when to say it, told what to do, told when to do it. And I'm breaking those patterns, and some of it's all the way down to my genetics. But Austin gave me a newfound courage to try again, to get up on my feet and do it again, to stand up and talk and share my story. And Jennifer, thank you, because you encouraged me as well. And to plant another garden, even though my gardens have been destroyed in the past because ruthless landlords. My ex-husband, who kicks me out, and then I get to sit there and watch my garden die over and over again. So I'm really excited to grow a garden that will actually last. I'm excited that this land is still here, even though it's been a fight also. When my mother passed away, um, with her ex-husband, but my father made sure, my biological dad made sure that we could still have this land, and my biological grandmother. So I'm incredibly grateful, and I intend to honor this land and grow as much as I can and do as much as I can here. And I do thank you, everyone, for listening to this story. And thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, everyone, for your positive encouragement. Another subject I've been dealing with is people are telling me that I'm not the ethnicity that I say I am. And honestly, it's not their place. And it's not very kind. In fact, it's hateful and racist. And I was really hoping, after I stayed away from everything for so long, that people would come a little bit further, and most people have. But I'm very sad when I hear things like that, because I know where I come from. I know what my bloodline is, and it's not up for debate. And I know my ancestors are honored when I think about it. And yes, my life is much better. There's still waves of PTSD and emotion because everything happened so quickly, coping with it. But I'm here. It's also why I'm doing Sober October, because my rage about those things, because I suppressed everything and was so passive, comes out when I drink. Not to mention I tend to black out. So I'm staying away from alcohol for October so that I can cope with my own problems without letting them all flood over onto everybody else. Thank you, Jennifer. My life is much better now. It is thanks to everybody and all of their help, and it's thanks to Austin for having a kind heart, because he could have just done like everybody else did and just shooed me on my way. Because once again, that night when I met him, I was limping too, because I'd had a seizure a couple days before I got evicted, and my hip gives out, so I could barely walk, but everybody just kept telling me to get out of their way, and they didn't want to help. So, but Austin helped me. He had my back, even though I probably looked insane at the time. He kept telling me that I was beautiful and that I could keep going. He also didn't try to take advantage of the situation, which was much appreciated, because I've had that happen in my past, and I'm incredibly grateful, honestly, that he had my back. And then all of you did too, because you guys had his back, you had my back. And I can't thank everybody enough for all of this humanity in life. And I think if all the people actually work together, we can stop all these evictions, these wrongful evictions and stuff, because I wasn't the only one that got evicted in the same year in California. Um, One of my best friends did too, and they had to go live out in the woods. Um, I can't live outside in California where we were living because it's Northern California and it would get so cold that my nerves would just glitch out and I couldn't do anything. So I'm once again grateful to be out here, grateful that there's still people out there who care. And as soon as I have the means and am on my feet, I will be paying this forward too. Um, just like I do have enough to send to Jennifer for a burger, so we can get all that food, because I'm not technologically savvy at all. I am determined not only to help myself, I am determined to help everybody I can. I'm hoping to eventually have some kind of permaculture food forest sanctuary for people who have been through hell. And eventually, if I make enough money um, off my music or whatever, I'm hoping to build apartment complexes or buy them and have them for homeless people who are over 50 to start, because I do believe in respecting my elders. And so I'm hoping to um, have not only homeless shelters, but homeless apartments where it's fully furnished and they have clothes and everything for 50 and older. And that way I can respect my elders and make sure that they're housed and taken care of, because they're the people who help make all of this possible too. And I respect that and love that about them, even though none of us, I feel like, I'm not to speak for everybody, but from my perspective, none of us really know what we're doing on this planet and this earth, how to really take care of it, and we're taking steps to help our environment again, and I'm proud of everybody for that. And I definitely want to take steps to make sure we're respecting our elders and the other people who are struggling. Because if we all just had our own land and could just grow our food and had our own house, I don't think there would be so much pain and struggling going on here, personally. Nice. That's awesome in the Philippines. I've never been out of the country of America, but maybe one day I will. Alright, Digital Potato Queen, shouting out to you. Love your roots, feeding the masses. Appreciate it. And I do think if we all work together, this whole world will be a better place for everybody, for everything, for the animals, for the plants, for the bugs, for our elders, for the young new generations coming on. I think it took a lot of steps to get to where we are, and it's going to take a lot of steps to make a more um, sustainable place. But if we keep our eye on the prize, that this is more about us evolving and not about who can be the richest at the end of the day. This is more about the survival of our planet and the survival of everything. I do feel like things will get better. Um, and go ahead, Jennifer. Jennifer is, it seems like, in a place where she's been starving for about 4 days, and she's trying to get some help too. And I'm trying to help her. I am trying to figure out how to work the internet, for one. Um, Thank you. I really appreciate that. I might keep this story public. If I get too harsh on the public, I'm going to take it down because my heart can only take so much at this point. Um, but I will keep it public for now, because you said that, and I appreciate that. And if anybody does have the means to help Jennifer out, that would be appreciated. I'm going to try later when Austin's awake, because he knows how to work the electronics, to send her something. But anyone who can, because it sounds like she hasn't eaten in 4 days, and I know how that feels, and it gets rough. But that's entirely up to everyone, and I'll do what I can as well. So thank you, everybody. And I'm happy to answer any questions too about my story. Maybe I'll write an autobiography like Austin once again. He inspires me. And maybe I'll put out my darkest album one of these days. But it helped me through some of the darkest times in my life. But I'm not sitting here trying to depress everyone. And I have gotten some feedback saying that my albums are already dark, and if people think those are dark, I don't know if I want to go into the real depths. I'm not here to depress the world. I'm here to help. And honestly, my music, I feel like, has gone through alchemy itself. Okay, I'll keep this story up for now. I will. Like I said, as long as I as long as I don't get too much intensity from it, because I do still deal with agoraphobia, and I can't handle too much. And yes, venting is very good for the soul, and it does feel good to actually get it out there. My silence can be intense for me, to the point where I've even had one of my therapists tell me, during my seizures I bite my tongue really hard. I actually bit the tip off it once, unfortunately, which made talking pretty difficult. I've been working on my speech again, but he told me part of that might be symbolic of the fact that I don't speak usually. I don't speak my truth. I don't vent. And he said, stop biting your tongue and speak your truth. And that helped a lot, actually. Just those words helped me start speaking instead of keeping everything so bottled up. So I encourage everybody else to stop biting your tongue, speak your truth. Do appreciate all of you. And I refuse to stay afraid of people for long, even though I go through phases. And I refuse to give up. I will grow food, and I will save money, and I will help everybody that I can as soon as I can, whether it be through music or talking or food or money or a tiny commune out here where people can thrive, where people can heal, or even just sending good vibes out all over the planet, because when you thrive, I thrive, in my opinion. We're all the same species, and when other species thrive too, we thrive. And I'm just grateful to be a part of all of this. And thank you, Jennifer. Alright, well, I'm gonna get off this live. My brother and I have some work to do out here. I gotta feed the dogs and stuff. And thank you. May God, Great Spirit, may everything bless you and shine down on you. May you all thrive. Thank you for helping. Let's stop surviving and start thriving. Bless all your hearts. Many blessings.